Hey everyone, and welcome to the deep dive. In this episode I'm going to be talking about the best ways to store your regulators. We all know that looking after your regs is super important so that they last longer as possible, and there are a few tricks and tips to storing them when you're not diving, and that can help extend their lifespan. So firstly, you must make sure that you wash them thoroughly. During your dive, contaminants like salt and algae can work their way into small crevices of your regs, and when they're dry they can discolor and damage parts of your regs as well. So you need to wash every part of your regulator with warm, fresh water and a small amount, just a smidge amount of detergent to remove these contaminants before storage. If possible, the best way to do so is with them attached to a pressurized cylinder, so the water cannot enter the hoses and then into the first stage. And if you don't have a cylinder to hand, then place your thumb over the inlet of your first stage. The dust cup will not be enough to create a watertight seal. Now you've washed them, of course you're going to have to dry them now. So the best way to do this is actually towel dry them first, very lightly, and then air dry them, but not in direct sunlight, as doing this will discolor your regulators. If you have some, store them with silica packets. They do a great job at absorbing moisture so your regs stay dry and fresh. Also keep them flat and as straight as possible so they don't develop any stress points or cracks over time. If you have space, store them on a long shelf where the hoses can lay flat. Don't hang your regs because this will bend the hoses at joints, again creating stress points and potential cracks. It's also best to keep your regs in the dark. Sunlight can affect the materials that comprise of your regs, so they discolor and deteriorate. Also keep them nice and cool. High and super low temperatures can cause parts to expand and contract, so try to keep them nice and cool at one temperature at any given time. Try not to store them for too long as well. The longer you leave them, the more likely parts like O-rings will perish. Get your regs out once a month and move them about to keep the parts, moving. If your regs have been in storage for well over 6 months, get them tested or serviced before you use them on your next dive. The last point I want to make out is that you should take the pressure off. Some regulators feature a storage function on the second stage that takes the pressure off the sealing surface. Over time, the spring is pushing on the seal poppet into the soft seal seat, and this can cause the seat to bed in and allow gas to creep past. If your regs obviously don't have that function, just unscrew any breathing adjustment knobs as much as possible. Doing this will help reduce the pressure on the seat. And that's it. So how do you store your regs? Do you have any?
If you're after whale sharks, then Cancun in Mexico has one of the highest concentrations of whale sharks around.
Cool.
Summertime, around July-August, is a great time to visit because that's when they tend to arrive for mating season. Nassau in the Bahamas is famous for shark diving, and they are very confident around divers. You can find